India, a country fueled by over 140 crore minds, in the middle of a digital boom that has seeped deeper into its complex populace. India's digital economy grew 2.4 times faster than its economy between 2014 and 2019. But with that also grew the dark underbelly of cybercrime. The main target of cybercrimes has been the OTP or one-time passwords, like the mystical keys that can unlock treasures of the digital universe. But what can't be hacked easily can be stolen.
उनके पास एक्सपायरी उनको पता थी मेरे क्रेडिट कार्ड के, उनके क्रेडिट कार्ड के मतलब आधे डिजिट्स उनको पता थे। और मैंने एक बार उनको OTP 9,000 रुपये का जो OTP पहले दिया मैंने, उन्होंने बोला कि ये ख़राब हो गया है, दूसरा OTP आपको आया वो और बता दो हमें। तो मैंने बिना मैसेज पढ़े पूरा मैंने फिर से एक OTP दे दिया, तो टोटल 30,000 रुपये का मेरे साथ स्कैम हुआ था।
OTP scams can range from a few thousand rupees to crores. The process deployed for OTP scams is more mental than technical.
सच में बताऊं तो कभी ऐसा नहीं लगा कि मेरे साथ ऐसा हो सकता है। तो शी वॉज वेरी फ्लुएंट विद इंग्लिश, तो मुझे लगा कि हाँ भाई स्कैमर कैसे हो सकते हैं। तो बस आई गॉट स्कैम्ड हियर।
In this episode of Mirror Now Against Cyberscam, we tell you how to save yourself from OTP frauds.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. On Mirror Now, we continue to relentlessly take up your causes. And on this special series, we will talk about cyber scams, cyber crimes that are so very prevalent in the Industry 4.0 era that we all live in. With artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, everything dominating our daily lives, with it come the challenges of cyber scams. And on the episode today, we will talk about one of the most common cyber crimes that many of us have been victim to, that of OTP frauds. On the show, joining me is Mr. Amit Dubey, National Security Expert and Crime Investigator on Cyber Forensics and Ethical Hacking. We're also joined on the broadcast by Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS officer. Welcome, gentlemen, to both of you. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Amit Dubey. We're talking about OTP frauds here, one of the most common frauds that are carried out of the cyber world. Also, the fact that it has increased after the COVID pandemic, obviously because we have been using a lot of digital platforms. But help us understand how these are really carried out. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, even OTP is not required. The fraudsters have also bypassed that security system. Of course.
And Shreya, they are changing their modus operandi so smoothly that if today you ask me, I'll tell you 10 methods to steal OTPs through non-technical ways and using some social engineering. After 1 week, if you invite me, I'll give you 2 more techniques. So they are so fast, they are changing their modus operandi so quickly that it is very difficult to keep it updated for the audience. And here I'll tell you a few such ways through which they can steal your OTPs, though we believe that OTP makes us secure. So in every cyber campaign, cyber security campaigns, we tell don't share your OTPs, don't click any link. But these kind of things don't work because nobody's sharing their OTPs. There are some smart ways through which they steal your OTP. And that's what we should, I think, tell to our audience to be aware of. One such modus operandi is call forwarding technique, then call merging technique, then through voice mailing, through eSIM, through QR code, and multiple such techniques are there. For example, if you know me well and you get a call from an unknown number, that Amit has given me your number and we would like to invite you for some event. You start the discussion because the person is taking some credible name. After 20 seconds, he'll say, I think Amit is also calling you, Shreya, so can you merge this call so we all three will talk together. Now you will get a call, it won't be my number, but you will raise that doubt that I think it's not Amit's number, and he'll say, no, it is his VIP number, just merge the call and we'll discuss. And with that pressure, you will merge the call. As soon as you merge the call, you will lose some money, or your WhatsApp will be hacked, or your Facebook, Twitter, anything will be hacked. Now you have not shared your OTP. You have just merged 2 incoming calls, and that's what your mistake, and you lost money. Because nowadays, you get OTPs on call. Earlier, it used to be only on SMS. Now you have an option to invite it on call. So the other call that you received at that time, it was an OTP call for some purpose, and because you merged the call, the caller could hear that OTP, he applied it, and boom. So these are the methods, and every such method is unique, which anybody can use. I think unless until we know this method, it's very difficult to protect us against such OTP frauds.
Yeah. Which is also a recent case. It reminds me of Dayanidhi Maran sharing the fact that almost 1 lakh rupees of his were taken out of his bank account, not through OTP, but by a call to his wife, who was a joint account holder along with him. So what you're saying, that through calls they're just able to sort of carry on with their scam, is what is the most dangerous
thing. So they'll give you some call to your wife,
right?
and then to you, and then you will be in confusion, and you will merge a few calls, and suddenly you will realize that you have merged the wrong call, and that is an OTP call. So this is the way they are actually
carrying out
these operations.
Okay, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, you're somebody who served in the security system. I'm sure you've seen a lot of such cases coming to the fore. How equipped are we to really deal with such cyber crimes that keep on changing, keep on evolving every minute that we speak?
You know, fortunately, I retired before this scam business came into play. And that's why one was spared of such scams. But yes, you know, there are 3 broad ways, as of course pointed out. There are other ways also, which are, of course, you can see by and by. One is the fear factor. You know, many of the call centers which are working in India, they were doing these scams by, you know, fearing the American ordinary public, that the tax people are after you and things like that, and then scamming them into giving information. Second is, of course, the greed. You have so many of these, you know, fake websites coming up, giving you loans and things like that. And you fall into their trap by giving a lot of information. And third is, of course, the kind of philanthropy or the help which you want to do, which you pointed out just now, that somebody is crying for help from London and things like that. And then you immediately transfer that. Now, as far as the government goes, a lot of efforts have been made. There is a number, you know, I think it's 1930 or something is the helpline, that once your money goes, at least if it goes to the MHA, there is this attempt to block the transfers or the interbank transfers. There are also a lot of other things, you know, for example, cybercrime.gov in, and it's expected that you always report, or you always, you know, register some of your complaints. The problem is, of course, that these numbers where the scams are actually taking place, you know, the breeding centers, for example, which are shifted to Nu now. Earlier it was in Jharkhand. It is very difficult for a common man to sort of, you know, ring up 1930 or report on cyber crimes. So they get away with a lot of things under force and pressure and under time. Now, the question is, if for the police officers, we are going around, my colleagues are going around, and from Goa to other places also, as Mr. Dubey would also vouch, that they're trying to tell people, don't give your OTPs, be very careful. And actually, Shreya, if you are really careful, nobody can steal anything from you. Yes, cloning is an issue at a higher level. You know, what Mr. Dubey is talking about, I agree. But at the basic level,
Azad, however much careful we are, the fact of the matter is that the fraudsters are not giving us the time to think. They're just going on and on with their demands, requests, you know, in the garb of you'll be arrested if you don't do this, or, you know, they play up on the emotional quotient, like you said. They'll bring in your family, they'll know the details of them, and then go about not giving you enough time to even think that you have to be careful.
True. So that's exactly the whole point, that as a human being, you have to be a little more mature in dealing with such issues. The other day, for example, somebody called, and Mr. Dubey, you'd be interested in knowing this. He rings me up and says that, you know, I'm speaking from DHL. I said, yes, very nice. And you know what, your package cannot be delivered now, though you have sent it with your Aadhaar and identification. So I said, oh, really? Where was this package meant for? He said this package was going from Bombay to somewhere, Kosamui or something like that. I said, I see, that's wonderful. So can you send me the details of all this? And what is the other information you want besides my Aadhaar and identification? I said, I'm just reporting it to the police also. He quickly kept the phone down. So, I mean, this attempt is going on every day. And I agree, Shreya, that there is a lot of moral and pressure on you. But we have to educate people. And as Mr. Dubey rightly said, unless you make people aware, this problem is not going to go, because newer ways are being found out. Now this fear factor has been understood. So the greed factor. See the case which was tracked recently in Delhi. How was it done? They were creating fake websites of companies, and there were these web makers also, and they were selecting electric scooters. And one man paid 1,15,000, and the whole thing then vanished. And thereafter, then he reported. And there you got this gang, which was from Nevada in Bihar and also in Delhi. So you can see the connectivity which was so long. So this will continue, and we have to keep, making people aware and strengthening our own systems. That is the only way to go forward.
For somebody like you, Mr. Azad, I understand that you've been in the system, you are an aware human being, as you said. That is why it was perhaps easier for you to realize that there is some sort of fraud about to take place, and that's why you quickly told the person that, okay, let me just talk to the police and let me report it to the police. But that's not what happens, Mr. Dubey, every time, isn't it? For example, Mr. Azad said, about this whole parcel bit and how they call you and say that there is some fake passport and Aadhaar cards and that you'll be arrested. There are several cases like this, and they play on the emotional quotient and they don't give you the time. Earlier, there used to be, a hesitancy on part of the fraudsters of coming on to video calls. But now that is not there.
They're not scared.
Yeah, they're not scared. In such a case, in such a scenario, how does one as a layman, if I get a call, how do I, be aware of the fact that this might be a call which is copying, cloning my OTT and hacking my phone and thereby every personal detail of mine?
So to some extent, I agree with Mr. Azad that yes, they are exploiting your human quotient and emotions and the ignorance. But most of these cases that I get, these are from people those are highly intelligent. They are really achievers in their life, very smart in technology, and then they are duped. And many police officers even. So if you would have heard that sextortion racket, there are more than 100 plus police officers from UP itself. Those were became victim of this entire operation. So we cannot restrict it to the people those are only rural or ignorant or uneducated per se or not smart. I think it can work with anybody. These operations or modus operandi are very, very smart. So we need to understand it. Just 1 week before, I realized people have created cloned website of Supreme Court of India. And they have created clone WhatsApp channel for MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and they are duping people. So they are equipped with all that technological support as well. And the kind of English they use, very smart and no mistake you can find out. So I'm sure there are enough expenses made behind it also to provide them cloud servers and all these things to make it anonymous as well. And they are able to run it for months. By the time we take it down, lakhs and lakhs of people are already duped. So anybody can be scared if I'll send you a notice from Supreme Court of India's email ID and it is an authentic email ID and the website looks very authentic, you will be scared. And not many people would retaliate the way police will retaliate in that situation, because police knows.
Yeah, and not many people know the tiniest details, the nitty-gritties of what is going on, which one is an original, which one is a clone. But if you had to, tell our viewers, tell our audiences the top 3 things that you need to look out for when you get a call and you suspect that this is a fraud, how do you go about it?
So many people are receiving calls from impersonating police officers, that we are from police and we found your video, or we recorded your video and now we are uploading on YouTube, and if you want to stop it, pay us this much money, blah, blah, blah. So all these things are happening. First of all, police do not work like this. They do not take your statements on video calls. They do not call you and chase you like this. There are other processes. First of all, they'll send you notices, and if you don't respond to that notice, probably then only they'll communicate like this. But anybody is threatening you all of a sudden from some unknown number, that to a mobile number, not a landline, you should not take it seriously. You should avoid it. You should block it. And they'll change their numbers as well. They'll keep on changing the number. They'll again call you from some other number, will pressurize you. But you should keep on blocking it. Don't trust on those numbers if they are not coming from landline. phones. Very first instance. Second, any such website that they are sharing with you, if it is not gov.in, you should not trust that website. Most of these government
Or
websites.
nic.in?
nic.in or gov.in. So these are the two official extensions for government departments. Other than that, if you have org.in or .com or any other link, don't trust, don't do any commercial activity on those links. These are the two basic fundamental things I think people should know.
Okay, so one is, of course, check the number and check the process that our security system follows. They don't take your statements on video calls. They don't give your arrest warrants on video calls. And number two is?
The website extensions.
The website extensions that we need to check. Okay, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, several victims that I talked to have said that, paisa gaya to gaya. But what we had to go through after that in reporting and following up with the investigation has been tougher. There is, of course, that golden hour of reporting such cases, and if that is delayed, then of course it becomes more difficult. But in terms of, investigating such crimes, how difficult is it to trace the fraudsters, get the money back? I'm sure it's not a very easy, linear, smooth process.
In fact, my think tank, Deep Strat, had done a collaborative study with the Haryana police on the online frauds. And we had developed a kind of a procedural model that how the case should be registered, what should be done. As you asked, one of the difficulties is, for example, if somebody is scamming you from Jharkhand and the guy who has been scammed is in Haryana, then obviously he'll register the case where he is because he was scammed in Haryana itself. So the jurisdiction of the police is here, but the criminals are from Jharkhand. So this entire process of the police then, going there, trying to get a transit remand to get those people back, trying to trace them. In many cases, you may not get the support of the local police also. Going without the police and then trying to catch them is a serious problem because you're not aware of the ground conditions and things like that. They disappear. So yes, there is a lot of problem, and that is why this issue has to be dealt nationwide in a proper manner. There has to be developed a set of protocols, whereas things can become easier. A case can be registered anywhere. Like, for example, in the new criminal justice system, there is a case of online registering of FIR. So even if you are in Delhi and something has happened to you in Noida and you have passed through here, then you can register the case here. So there are a lot of things which need to be done still. But yes, one problem which you have said, which I also heard in a seminar, was that, it's sometimes the police does not register because they are not inclined, because ek aur aa gaya sar pe, that's the kind of attitude. And the second is also because of the procedural elements involved and the hurdles involved, it takes time.
I was saying, Mr. Azad, because there is lesser awareness and knowledge about such scams, and perhaps that is why lesser interest within the security system also to take that through.
See, some places like Haryana in Gurgaon has done a brilliant job. In every district also you have a cybercrime cell. But that is true, the knowledge on both sides is less. So even people don't know whether they should go to a particular police station or they should go to a cyber police. In Delhi, for example, is very easy because everyone gets to know. But the point which I'm saying, that is why, to obviate such issues, today this knowledge should be shared to the level of the panchayats because it has become a national menace. And it is important now for the police, the state government officials and the other people to go and explain at the regional level, at the block development levels, these important things. Because today mobiles are being carried by, these kids, who top in with 50 rupees and fill their data bank, and then they start watching, various kinds of things. So everyone is aware of this factor. And unless you go down to the villages, this will keep continuing. I'm sure that with the efforts, because today even knowledgeable people are being scammed, but with more and more dissemination, I'm sure we'll be able to at least lessen this kind of a menace. And for that, it is important to indulge in a very wide dissemination program down to the villages.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why at Mirror Now our effort is to bring in more and more awareness among people, among citizens of the dangers of the cyber world, whether, when it concerns cyber crime and the safety measures that we can take, at least at the personal level, when we talk of that. Mr. Dubey, you talked about how we need to be aware of, the domain name and the phone numbers and the legal process, the security system process that our country follows, so that we are able to at least differentiate the minimum, the basic stuff between the original and what is fake. But also tell us, what are the top 3 things that one should do when one does become a victim of cybercrime? Because a lot of times that golden hour of reporting that is talked about, and please tell our viewers that as well, what it is all about, that is lost, and therefore the whole process goes for a toss.
Absolutely. So first, the 3 things that you have to remember in case you are victimized by a financial cyber fraud, you have to quickly inform to 1930. It's an helpline number by Ministry of Home Affairs. There is a unit called I4C. They have started this number. And on 1930, you have a provision to block the account for 24 hours or 48 hours. So the very first thing you should do, wherever you have transferred this money mistakenly or fraudulently it has happened, you should block that account. And that you can request on 1930 that this is something which has happened. This is transaction ID.
And that happens quickly?
That happens quickly, yes.
You have a quick blocking.
So that's what you have to do within few minutes or hours. Okay. Because by that time, if it is more than 3 hours, 4 hours, probably the entire money will go to some other account and eventually it will be withdrawn through ATMs, or the criminals will purchase some gift cards or bitcoins, and then it will become much more difficult to trace it back. Yes, because to get it money back is very, very difficult. Most of the time, within a day, this money goes to China. In most of these cases. Okay. So you have to respond very fast. You just have hardly 1 to 2 hours of time initially to block this money. And if it is very small money, probably the required time is much less, because then they can easily withdraw it through ATMs. So, but if it is significant money, they'll take some time to transfer it to different accounts, because UPI has restrictions, and then many other operations on RTGS takes time for approvals. So you have some time, but then it is very, very limited. Within 3 days, if you inform to your bank, and if there was no such mistake from your side, the bank is liable to pay you everything. So the entire liability goes to bank. So within 3 days, you should also inform to your bank. On email or on a physical application, you should get a receiving also, and that evidence will help you to get your money back from bank. Third thing, you should also report it to a online cybercrime reporting portal, which is www.cybercrime.gov.in. Go to that portal and inform entire details with all IDs, transaction IDs, your details and contact details. It will be registered and they'll assign this case to a local police station. They'll also give you an IO, investigation officer, and then you can follow your case with that investigation officer. So I think these 3 things are very, very important. First, 1930. Second, inform to your bank. And third, reporting it to an online portal.
So a lot of times, Amit Dubey, the victims say that informing the bank required an FIR or some sort of formal complaint that one has to make, and that is when they start the process of blocking and tracing everything of your account and the money that's gone. And perhaps that's where the important time is lost, isn't it? While we are putting that formal complaint, then going to our bank, a lot of time is lost.
So first of all, I should make it very clear that we don't need an FIR. A normal complaint will help to the bank to process this investigation. And the complaint, you can even file it online on www.cybercrime.gov.in, and the receiving of that complaint, you can submit it to the bank that you have filed the complaint. Okay. If you have filed the complaint, you are responsible for that complaint. So that is something which bank will ask from you, but you can do it online, so there's no issue. You should not follow with the local police station for informal FIR, because sometimes people think it is FIR. There is a difference between FIR and a police complaint. Police complaint is a complaint where you are giving your first-hand information of your crime and with your own details and whatever details you have about that crime with digital evidences. FIR is a formal registration of that complaint for further investigation. So the investigation will happen in multiple ways. The bank will start their investigation. The police will start their investigation. You just need a complaint, and that complaint you can submit on a plain paper as well. don't need to convert it into a formal FIR, because sometimes people will argue with the police stations that I need an FIR, and they'll deny it, that at this stage we can't take it to FIR label, just with the normal complaint process. So I think this should be clear to the audience. Don't worry about that, just file it on online and it will be sufficient. The other thing that you need to take care of at that situation, because see, bank, the support staff of bank, they may not do few things quickly because of the various reasons. You need to push them. You need to give multiple mails to them that your work is important.
That's
yes.
the problem.
I have
That's the
seen
challenge
this,
that the Aam Aadmi faces.
Correct. So they are normally face that I have informed to the bank, but they have not blocked the other side money, and even after informing to the bank, they were losing money. It happened. So I think all these incidents are very important. If you have informed to the bank through an email or through phone call, register those timings. And after that also, if you have lost some money, that money will surely be back, because then you don't have any reason to not get that money, because you have informed to the bank was supposed to take an action, they didn't take, and that's why the compromised account is still operated by the criminal, and they still moved some money out of your account. So I think that information, timeline, you should record somewhere, and in further emails and communication, you should refer that I have informed it at this time, and then I lost money after that. So the responsibility goes entirely to the bank. So these small details are very, very important when you are communicating with bank and with the police.
I think this is fairly clear to all of us that we need to be aware of the tiny nitty-gritties that come along, with the challenges of cybercrime. We also need to take care of the fact that we follow the timeline in that golden hour of reporting that you have been a victim of the cybercrime, and going and lodging a formal complaint with 1930, which is the helpline number of the Ministry of Home Affairs that takes care of cyber crimes and follows them through. With that, of course, you need to keep on pushing our security system as well, who need to be, as Mr. Azad would also agree, need to be more aware and sensitized about cyber world and the scams that come along with it, as much as all the citizens also should be. With that, I'm going to wrap this episode up. I hope you found this information, this discussion of ours hopeful. We on Mirror Now will continue to follow up on the problems that you face and take up your causes on this very special series on Mirror Now against cybercrime. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye.